Hey everyone, this is Snark with Snark's Domain. Oh, just got to change an audio setting here. Just a sec. Okay, so yeah, I'm just testing out streaming for the first time, so hopefully the audio doesn't sound horrible. Um, Anyways, I'm going to open up this Zotac 3070 Ti, and we're going to apply some thermal putty to it today. So my camera is not a great camera, so my apologies for that. It's just one of those Logitech C920s I bought a few years ago. If anyone comes and watches this and hears the audio being not great, just maybe give me a shout to let me know and I can adjust it. So I always like to do the star pattern. Just like when you're changing tires on a car. I'm not sure how many times I've taken this card apart, but it's quite a few. I guess I only do the star pattern. Um, oh, hey Taylor, how's it going? Yeah, there's probably some background noise, and I'll probably play with the filters at some point. But yeah, this is my setup for now. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put that putty back in place. Should probably have gloves. This time I'm just not gonna bother with the gloves. Usually I would. I didn't set that up in time this time, so that's okay. I'm not too worried. It's not going to affect it that much. Yeah, good to see you too, man. I decided I needed to start making content more often and just kind of like get back on the horse, I guess. And then I got the idea that, oh, maybe I'll try streaming. So here we are. All right. So these are actually just some Upsiren thermal pads, which I still need to like formally test, but they were the first thing I put on with my new test bench. And they seem decent, but I don't really have anything to compare it to yet. And then I went through that phase of trying to improve my test apparatus to the point where it is now. So hopefully start testing stuff a bit more often. And actually, this is, I believe, Honeywell PTM 7950. This is actually the first time I'll be cleaning it off of a GPU. Doesn't seem too bad so far. It's almost like 5-year-old dried up thermal paste, which is kind of makes sense. I should probably figure out some background music for future streams. I guess I had some for the intro, but problem is you can't just stream any kind of music. At least not if you eventually want to be monetized or have it count that way. And plus, I guess you don't want your content taken down either, so at least I don't want to. You guys do anything exciting this weekend at all? I had an interesting Saturday. Had to drive to another city. That took, I guess it was only 3 hours, and sit at a police impound in a line for 3 hours. And then finally get up to the front and show some paperwork and pay a towing fee. Luckily, it wasn't my car up until today. But yeah, it was quite the day. Actually, still didn't get it. They're gonna tow it tomorrow, but I don't need to drive back to the city at least. So yeah, definitely looking forward to showing you guys the test rig. That'll probably be sometime in the next 4 or 5 days. I could probably pull that off. I've got to go to a job starting probably tomorrow evening for about 2.5 days on location, and then working out of my truck, which will be lots of fun. And then I'll be back, hopefully, unless they send me out somewhere else. Okay, so that's reasonably clean. I think that's going to be pretty good for getting a baseline. Hey, nice action. How's it going? Is there a whole lot of can you guys hear like fans in the background at all? Or normal computer noises, I guess? Okay, I think we got most of the PTM off here. So this is actually a test card I did apply some of that conformal coating to. I'll turn the black light on here in a second and we'll see what it looks like now that I've given it a good scrubbing with isopropyl. I'm not sure how easy it cleans after it's been applied, but just a second here. Get the light on. Can't hear fans. Noise gate just sounds kind of low. Yeah. Yeah, I need to make some adjustments for sure with the audio. So yeah, the card seems to still, at least from what I'm looking at it here, the video quality is not great, just based on the camera I'm using, but it seems like I've been able to scrub off just a little bit of the conformal coating here. So I'll have to keep that in mind for when I'm applying it, especially before I go and do things like liquid metal and that new Upsiren thermal or liquid metal paste. I'm just going to turn that back off and go to the normal light again. Get some better image quality. At first I was going to be streaming with my GoPro, but turns out, at least from what I can tell, you have to have 1,000 subscribers to be able to use a GoPro to get this special like streaming key or something from YouTube, which I think is kind of funny, but not much I can do about that. Okay, so that is pretty much the card prepped and cleaned, with the exception of this putty here. I've got to kind of press down around the cap and try and make it a little bit taller just so it'll recompress. And I'll do the same here. Oh, thanks, Daniel. Yeah, so I actually bought a new microphone. I had been previously using a Blue Yeti, which was, it was okay. And I probably could have gotten more out of it if I had done a bit more research with using different filters and stuff. But as it stands, I bought a Shure MV7 and I'm just using it through USB. But so far I like it. So I'm just spreading MX4 on the core. And I'll do that little dab in the middle. Might be a bit too much, but oh well, that's okay. All right, so yeah, this time I'm actually going to measure how much I apply to the VRAM itself. Obviously, it's not a great measurement for most users because it doesn't show them how much I use for this entire card, but yeah, let's find out how much this thing weighs. What's in ounces? Let's go grams. I'm just gonna, sorry guys. First time, I'm a newbie. You gotta let me get away with this one. All right, so we're going to call that 386. Should probably write that down. That sounds like something I'm going to forget if I don't. 86. Okay. We'll set that over here. Oh, I definitely need a bigger desk. All right, so yeah, this stuff is fairly. Oh, sorry, Daniel M. You have you repasted a 3090 by chance? Yes, I've repasted an EVGA 3090 for the Win 3. You got a Supreme X in the back plate. There are some heat pipes, so I can only put shims on the GPU side. Yeah, do you think it would be worth hotspot VRAM? Hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking with those, so your heat pipes actually go out to the backplate. I'll have to look at pictures of that at some point and kind of get a better idea of it. But with a high-end putty or pad, you're probably going to see noticeable improvement over the stock pads. The 30 series was brutal on the manufacturing side. Missing pads shifted out of place, and then just in general not being super great quality. You guys can see how like malleable this putty still is. I believe I'll have to check the package. I believe this is past the ideal use by date, which just means the consistency could be a little higher than ideal. Not the consistency, would be thicker, I should say, more viscous, and not as easy to apply with an automated setup, which doesn't matter for us as much, just matters for industrial users like GPU manufacturers and laptops. Okay, so we've pasted the core. I think we've done everything we needed to do so we can put this thing back together. Yeah. Connectors in place. Cool. That wasn't the easiest to do and line up, but it worked out okay. So my technique for putting this card back together, I like to start the 4 spring screws, or if you have most other cards will have that X bracket. I start that first, and then before I actually tighten those down, I also get the other screws, which I basically consider to almost act like alignment screws in this scenario, just to make sure everything's sitting correctly before we go for final compression. Just screw them in part way. Yeah, I think this camera struggles with autofocus. Probably goes in and out of focus for you guys. All right, so everything should be aligned now. And I'll go and do the star pattern. I think with putty, it's probably more important than with pads to do this star pattern because we don't want to over tighten on a corner of the silicone and apply too much pressure. FD. Have I tried UpSirens LMTG100? No. I do have some in hand. They gave me 3 sample little syringes of it, and I need to test that out for sure. I think I can get to that fairly soon, along with a whole bunch of other testing. Okay, so you guys can see that putty sort of presses out like that each time. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting that LMTG100, they sent me some footage from, I don't know, some sort of industrial testing place, I would say. And they were testing it with these leads from a multimeter, and they couldn't get it to have continuity, and they had a sample of like normal liquid metal, and it was just like as soon as they put the leads in, it would show continuity. And then they did the same with theirs, and it didn't. And that's because, at least, I mean, I haven't tested this, so I do need to test that to confirm it, but it's because the liquid metal is inside these little well, thermal grease capsules almost, and it basically makes it so until you compress it, or if you put it between 2 metal surfaces and then like high friction, you can actually get it to shine metal. That's what he said I should test on video and show people, and that's what we'll do, just to see how well that works and if it's accurate or not information. But I don't know, it'd be interesting to see how the stuff works, what its performance is like. I'm not sure what to expect performance wise. I mean, can a mixture of 2 things, if it is a mixture, or is it a different kind of liquid metal? Does it have different ingredients? But if it's not just like 100% metal based and there's some basically what I would presume silicone grease added in there, how that's going to affect thermal conductivity, or if they've accounted for that and added enough different metal additives that don't conduct electricity that are, or no, do conduct electricity, sorry, but are more conductive than the ingredients that Thermal Grizzly puts in theirs, which, I mean, Thermal Grizzly does quite a bit of research on their stuff, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see. There are heat pipes crossing the VRAM, creating a 1 mm height difference on the shapes. Oh, different height thickness. Did creating 1 mm height difference. Degree pad with Arctic TP3. 5 Celsius. Yeah, the 3090 is probably going to go down in history as like the worst designed video card. Just like not having active cooling on the back plate at all, and putting 3.4 watt chips, GDDR6X on there, and then and 12 of them, plus 12 on the core, you know, right behind those other 12. Like they get hot. Mine's been okay, because I did use shims and TG-PP10. It's actually we're streaming on this computer right now. But yeah, I like those X brackets as well. They probably have the best pressure. These little springs, I mean, older cards definitely use that a lot, but I definitely prefer the X brackets as from a design standpoint and functionality. Yeah, you can manually press to help seat everything. Yeah, that's what I usually do if we pretend that this was an X bracket. I usually start the two on one side and it's completely like loose and flopping around, and then I'll manually press on the square part of it on this side and just like hold that manual pressure and get these screws started and then do the X pattern again, and it works great. I guess the screws work well enough in being able to do a really balanced reassembly. Um, so yeah, also the X spring is applied, force behind the core. Yeah, it's definitely a better design. Sorry, I didn't read your whole thing before because you can manually press and the back plate covers the whole board. You're kind of SOL. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so um, that's it for the assembly. Guess it's not doesn't necessarily have to be a super long stream. I did want to test this out. I'll put it on the. You know what? I guess I'll. You know what? You guys are here. I appreciate you guys showing up. That's cool. This wasn't planned at all. I'm gonna try showing you the a bit of the test bench, just so you guys can take a peek at it. Oh, we've got something going on the screen here. I agree it's a mess. I'll try and shim one side of my 3090. If it's not optimal, I'll still put some heat out of there, I suppose. So yeah, actually, regarding your 3090, there's another option that you could try first if you want to. Just got to drink some water here. If you want to buy some copper ram sinks and apply it to the back plate, you might actually have good luck that way. Okay, I'm just going to grab the test bench here. Oh, sorry guys, I ran into the mic with the test bench. That's not cool. Not cool at all. Okay, so can you guys see that? It's one of those. Ooh, this is not going well. Yeah, I should have planned this out better. Okay, it's a kind of like an extruded frame. Yeah, it's blue. It's got the motherboard mounted there. I've got the Noctua U12S, 4 sticks of RAM. I've got a PCI Express 4 riser cable. It's I want to say 15 centimeter. And I'm currently using a Thermalright SSD cooler on the NVMe drive. And then on the back, we have none other than, well, we got some Wi-Fi there. And then a Superflower, I believe this one is an 850. It's got an eco mode. You can kind of like change the fan speed, which is kind of cool. So Superflower manufactures the EVGA G2, G3, P2, P3, and T2 lines of power supplies. This is a rat's nest right now. I need to fix that, but those two PCI Express power cables there, the green ones, I crimped those myself, and just gonna get this thing turned around here. So those come out the front. Yeah, this is not the greatest view, and I'm gonna get a better camera, I think. Maybe even just like $100 one. I'm sure it'll work way better. And then I've got 90-degree adapters. I'm using 16 gauge silicone coated wires, and the Oh, I'm gonna mess this up now. The pins are also designed for 16 gauge. So, and then I cut this piece of acrylic and did a whole bunch of sanding and polishing of it. So this edge was, actually it was the edge behind that was sanded. But then I decided I'd add a little bit of, there's a bit of dirt there, RGB. So this strip here will turn on, and I've got everything blasting out that the classic Snarks Domain fluorescent green that you guys will probably become accustomed to, and I don't know if you like it or not, but and you know it's funny because blue is my favorite color, but yeah, I decided green for the channel. So yeah, thanks guys. To cool the back plate, I'll think about it. Yeah, maybe it's time to water cool both sides, possibly, but I'm just gonna see if I can get this in frame here. So what I do for when I'm putting this back is just kind of line up both of the cables and actually clip in really nice on that side into the adapter, and just a nice straight press down. There's no retention clip, but I haven't found an issue with that, especially because I'm taking this thing apart so often. Let me just spend a few moments to get it lined up. And then we've got, there we go. There's a little, got that sorted out. So I bought, these are not regular thumb screws. Surprisingly, this is the fine thread, not the coarse thread that you would usually find thumb screws in. And these have a slightly extended neck too. So, yeah. If you're wanting to make your own cables, haven't wanted to spend money on a good crimper though. Yeah, so can't remember which brand. Let me see. I'm gonna go grab that. All right, so we got the card in place. I'm just gonna move that out of the way so it's in a safe space. This is a safe space for computer gear. So yeah, I'm using an MD-PC, yeah, an MD-CTX3. It works really great. I don't know if I can, yeah, I can play around with that one. Sorry if that's probably pretty loud. I'll be more organized for future videos, I promise. So, if you do decide to crimp your own cables at some point, I would recommend, especially if you're doing it by hand, like, well, I don't think any of us are going to afford using an automated setup, but I usually use the size bigger than the gauge, so I don't want to affect anything. Yeah, these strippers are great. They just, actually I have a couple pairs of these, but they just last really good. They cut nice and clean. So I find on these little, no, that's not going to work. Almost need like a black background or something. So I almost have to spread out those two, the back ears, we'll call it, a little bit. Again, sorry for that noise. Every time I set something down, the boom arm for the microphone kind of has like a bit of a rattle going on. So there's two crimp points, and the first one is meant to crimp on the insulation, and the second one obviously does the wire. And oh yeah, I'm almost forgetting. You got to use the pliers just to like lightly crimp, just so it kind of hangs on there and doesn't fall off. And then getting the position right. You can't see it, but right in the middle point here, there are two little tabs that stick out, very, very tiny ones. And I don't want to crimp those. Those are the retaining tabs that hold it in place once it's put into the female terminal. So just going to kind of look closely on this side. Yeah, I haven't done this in a few days, so, well, probably a few weeks, so I'm a bit rusty. That's not the greatest crimp, and I would probably redo this. It's not perfectly straight, but it's going to work for our purposes here. Yeah, and then I just put it in place. Yeah, I have to redo that one because it's not quite, it's kind of bulged the way it's crimped, but the 16 gauge wire is kind of finicky if you don't need a high wattage cable. I think 18 gauge would probably work great. It's definitely fun making cables. I was doing it all throughout Christmas this year. I kind of brought my gear with me to the in-laws, and we're just like, you know, watching TV. The wife's checking her phone. My kids running around playing with like Lego and using me like a jungle gym, and I was just like crimping cables. It was fun. Bring back dislike button. Yeah, you can actually you can add the dislike, I think, to YouTube, and you can actually see statistics of old videos that have it. It is knitting for nerds. So bring back dislike button. Hey, thanks for getting me onto Upsiren UX Pro and U6 Pro. Not as in love with it as I am with PTM and layered TCPM, face change TMs, but in the world of cooling, it is a very badass product. I think so. I like it. And I also like those other things. There's it's nice. It feels like we are starting to get more cooling products available to us that probably have existed for a while, but have previously been mostly for industrial settings. So I think that's pretty neat. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You know what? Let's grab some of that liquid metal stuff and play around with it for a bit. Might as well, because you guys are hanging out, so. And we also have a basket of other goodies that we're going to kind of showcase a bit. This will be stuff that's upcoming in tests very soon. Hopefully the audio is not too loud for you guys, since I'm assuming some of you guys are probably watching this while you're trying to go to sleep. Whoa, I need 2 metal surfaces. Okay. Just a sec. Yep. I'm starting to stream. So Daniel, I don't know if you're still here, but if you are, see if I can put these on that thing. My camera is not going to be great currently for streams of high quality. That's okay. We will fix it. So these are ram sinks. They're just little, well, I don't know, they're basically 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter kind of, and I used to use these on video cards that had like GDDR 5 and 4 and 3 and probably 2. That was quite a while ago. But if you put these on the back plate of a 3090, especially if you can watch like a disassembly video and then figure out exactly where the RAM is, see where the little heat pipes are, and just like kind of line them up and put them around. Actually, I've got I'm trying to think if I have a video showing that. If you go to Reddit, I should have a post under, well, you know what? Let's just find where that is. I'll post a link in the description or in the chat here in a second. See if I can bring this up. I've got an old post, one of my first ones, where I was I did that to a friend's GPU because at that time I wasn't opening it up to redo the putty and stuff. Let's see, Strix. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy that. Hopefully this link works. Looks like it did. So that's my, like, one of my first posts trying to get the word out about thermal putty, I think, or maybe I was just doing pads at that time. Maybe this was like pre-thermal putty, actually. Okay, let's catch up on some comments here. Big thanks for testing. Recently found your channel. Looking for TG-PP10 replacements. Yeah, that's where we all started, was trying to find a replacement. Luckily, we do have lots of options now. 8 a.m. in Poland from Gorthis. Nice. Yeah, Daniel, so if you maybe check out that post, and then these RAM sinks, I'll see if I can get a link for you of where I found mine. Ooh, that's like way too expensive for that. I'm gonna say the cheapest option is probably gonna be eBay. Yeah, so Amazon's trying to charge $27 for like 8 of them. You should be able to get them in, and that's Canadian. You should be able to get them in the $11 or $12 range for 8 of them. Thanks for getting on up. So, sorry. Any chance you'd be looking at layered putties? Yes, definitely. Oh, it appears to be what AMD uses on recent cards. That is interesting to hear. Layered putties aren't even close to economical from limited shopping. So, yeah, that's the RAM sinks. We're going to play with the liquid metal in just a second. But let's get some of these putties out of the box here so you guys can see what we're planning on doing. All right, so I just need to make sure I don't somehow dox myself here, which I hear is not a good thing. All right, so this is Li-Poly SH Putty 3. Got 100 grams of that. I cannot remember what this stuff's rated at. I want to say it's around the 7 or 8 watts per meter Kelvin. I don't trust ratings anymore. Hopefully you guys know that by now, if you've been paying attention to the last, I don't know, several months. Okay, I'm just going to tear the bag. So we've got some layered putty that just came in a couple days ago. This was actually not bad for price. Let's see, this is 75 cc's, and we're at about 3.5 grams per cc. So 75 times 3.5. Let's see here. My brain's tired, so I'm definitely using a calculator for this. Yeah, so I should have 262 grams, and it cost me, I believe, it was 140. Might have been 145. I'll double check that, but basically $1.87. Sorry, not $1.87. 1.87 grams per dollar. That is pretty good. I actually think that is U6 Pro territory. Let's check that out. Might as well. Just make sure it's not logged into my account. U6 Pro. I definitely need a better setup for my not my laptop, keyboard. Okay, I'm gonna try sharing this screen with you guys here. Okay. I'm just gonna put the Logitech to sleep for a moment. So U6 Pro, Johnsbro, store. It's not quite. I guess this would be 3 grams per dollar. This is still more economical at the high end. Let's see, 50 grams. Yeah, I mean, that's still 3 grams per dollar Canadian. So, it's not, so the layered putty is not quite as economical, but that's a competitive price. If this thing performs well, like if this putty performs well, it's going to be really great. This is T-Putty 607 from the layered, and we've got Lee Poly SH Putty 3, and then we've got well, that's just some Kingpin KPX stuff we're going to be using to test as well. Wow, that is really well marked. Okay, so this blue stuff is from T Global. It is TG-6060. I believe it's rated at 6 watts per meter Kelvin. But again, I don't trust the ratings. And then of course I bought something I didn't really want to buy, but it seems we must. Bought some more K5 Pro. And we're actually gonna test it on a GPU, just so we can see how it performs. I've got the old stuff as well, but I'll apply this new container. I believe it's 20 grams. Feels like it. Yeah, 20 grams. So I did have a complaint from the manufacturer of K5 Pro, and you know, honestly, it's fair criticism. They were saying that the test with the hot plate, which the hot plate is rated for 180 watts, that wasn't quite representative of like real world testing, and was realistically not an accurate test. And I would agree with that it's not super accurate that way to see how it would perform in the real world, because the temperature delta between the bottom copper and the top copper could be fairly significant, especially if the thermal conductivity is not crazy high. And so I don't know what the surface of the bottom copper would have gotten to. Okay, so let's play around with some not liquid metal. I'm just going to catch up on some comments here too, because why not? See, I think the layered putties might be economical if they perform well. Don't worry, I'm not taking a leak. It's just pouring some water out of an Arabic tea thing pitcher. Honeywell HT 10,000. So we create a test site. Yeah, I'll definitely look into that, Griffiths. Daniel M. Well, I don't know if the contact between the GPU and RAM and the cooler is bad, or if the cooler is heat soaked. That makes sense. Yeah, I thought the Supreme cooler was capable. I mean, it should be. It depends on what your airflow is like. Taylor, yeah, KPX. I mean, Kingpin. It's done tons for the community. Definitely got to test his thermal paste out. It's like pretty important to test that. Justin Vasquez, thanks for showing up. He tried out U6 Pro. Awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so if you guys just tuned in, we're gonna look at this up siren. I don't know if you guys can see that. LMTG. Yeah, the hand trick does work. So he's just got, this is just a test sample. This is probably not what the packaging would look like for you guys. If you liquid metal micro capsules. Ooh, pretty exciting. Okay, I'm just going to apply some to this little copper shim. And then we're going to seal it back up. I don't want to waste it. I suppose I'll try with a thermal paste spreader first. So I just have to wipe up here a little bit. Bought some of the cheapest putty I could find. CH. It's only 1 degree warmer than the... Oh, nice. Yeah, I also have some of that. I'm hopeful that, yeah, it should be. I think there's like quite a few pink colored putties out there that, I don't know, in my opinion, probably have a bit of a similar origin. You know what I found out in the last couple of years? It's really hard to tell who makes what, who's a manufacturer and who's just a distributor and a reseller. And yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so bring back dislike button. That pricing that I found was on digikey.ca, but it doesn't really matter what country you're in. You can just change the was on Mauser for $100 US. US, yeah. That's right around the, what's pretty close. It'd be close to like 100 and 36 Canadian, I think is the current going rate. Could you do a test with K5 Pro on your test graphics card sometime? Yes, because a lot of people buy it and don't realize how poor performance it is. I'm definitely going to test it out. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Daniel, I read through your Reddit post. Seems like we have made similar experiences. My hopes were too high for a repad. Yeah, it's just a 3090's design. Okay, so far, this stuff doesn't have like high VOCs. It just looks like a satiny copper colored. Um, so this is LMTG 100. I'm just spreading it on a copper shim with a paste spreader here. It's it actually, you know what? It spreads not too bad. And I think you don't want to put like too thin of a layer necessarily. But I mean, you guys have spread lots of paste before. It's I don't know, it didn't spread too bad. But it doesn't look shiny currently. But it almost seems like there's definitely some sort of metal filler in there. I'm gonna try putting the shims together. I'm gonna rub them together and see if shiny liquid metal comes out, which interesting to see. I have no idea. Oh, yes. Okay. Um, yep. Just see that on the end there. We'll get some higher contrast. Get a black background, a non-shiny black background. Man, I need to get a way better camera or like have a manual focus. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you guys this or not, but the shine you're seeing, that's just copper. Like, try to ignore that. Okay, kind of right down here. Well, those are little balls, like little liquid metal balls. Um, yeah, I got one on the paddle here. Again, I'm not going to be able to get this focused. Sorry, guys. I'm not set up quite yet, but that is interesting. Oh, cool. Okay, let's open this up. Oh yeah, you can see some there for sure. I mean, this is like not ideal testing, and you would definitely want to put enough to like properly coat all the surfaces, but you guys can see that little vein of like liquid metal on the middle, well, kind of where my hand is. So this stuff is it's going to be interesting to try out. Smartphone to be able to use that for a decent webcam. That is true. I could definitely try that. I should also probably, what I should really do is get set up with this thing. That would be good. It's a Canon SX730 HS, so I just need to get I believe an HDMI cable for that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be interesting to see how this stuff performs and if it can compete with the good old Conductinaut. So, yeah, definitely going to be testing some stuff out and posting my results. And we've got ambient tracking with the that Quadro from Aqua Computer, but I also received something else in the mail. Might as well see if I've got that close by. Yeah. I may have spent a little too much recently on stuff, but I don't know. I'm hoping it's like makes good testing stuff for you guys to, well, and for myself too. I've never experimented with liquid metal personally. I guess I just never got to that phase of testing. I mean, I've used Arctic Silver 5, which is conductive, but other than that, I was always using, well, recently, I guess I was using Cryonaut, which I just assumed was supposed to be really good. But even DeBauer has suggested that it's not, it wasn't the perfectly ideal product for all applications, and it's good that he's been looking at improving his thermal pastes, because he does some pretty high-end overclocking and stuff, and some pretty custom cooling and liquid cooling. But for the guys still on air, it's we need like high performing products for our stuff. So I have to check my order again exactly how this all hooks up, but I've basically got some stuff from, oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess this up. The Thing Labs. What you call it? That's not what it's called. I cannot for the life of me remember what the brand is called. Is it like Astrolabs or something? It's the one that like all, I think Linus and Gamers Nexus use to monitor temperatures live and stuff. So I've got some, yes, Elmer Labs, which I should say, Taylor Sharp, thanks for the recommendation, because I definitely looked into it and I found some limitations with the Aqua Computer stuff, and I'm still going to use the Aqua Computer sensors because they're adequate for the temperature range is adequate for the temperatures I'm going to be using on the test bench. But past 100 degrees Celsius, I can't use the Aqua Computer. In fact, their controllers and software, they said, are not capable of, I guess, probably spitting out that information. So, and then I was asking them like, hey, can I solder your sensors, at like 150 to 200 degrees Celsius? And they were like, we're not sure. So yeah, so we've got an Elmer Labs. This would be the temperature monitor, and cables and software, and I've got a bunch of, I want to say off the top of my head, I believe these were going to be the K type. They're the highest rated ones. Got 6 of those. Looks like it comes with a little well, that's a nice little, it's a cool 3D. I need to get into 3D printing. I think that's going to be a fun project. Once I get a 3D printer, I can start making some cool stuff. But you know what? I don't have time to run a 3D printer. I've got to do a whole bunch of testing before I can think about buying more random stuff that doesn't apply to this. So that's for monitoring temperature. This is for actually being able to log PCI Express power, and looks like also CPU power. The plan with that being, even though it won't be great for benchmarks, I'll probably set up another test bench, a different one, where I can put a GPU onto a 1X riser and then have that riser powered by a power cable and the card. And so be basically monitoring total power going to the card, both through the these external power cables and also through the PCI Express. I think I can individually go through the channels, and I have to just add up the watts myself, and we can probably log that and then just do averages to get accurate numbers. But, you know, that'd be interesting to have that ability, especially if I'm testing maybe different cards to see just how much power they draw. So that's some of the stuff. I'm going to be testing up. Sorry, I actually have more stuff. Let me grab a few more things because you guys have been great hanging out, and then I'm probably gonna call it quits in a few minutes here. All right, so when I buy the Honeywell PTM 7950, I had to really think about that for a second. I usually get it from Mod DIY, and it comes in packaging like this. So you guys can see there's a little sticky tabs here, and then you can just cut the shapes that you need out of here. And it comes in this little like a tempered glass case, which is nice and rigid enough that it doesn't get damaged. And then I bought some off of eBay, and that stuff is actually not in this pile, but oh yeah, that's right. No, that's just more Honeywell stuff. Not sure where the eBay stuff is, but this looks like it might be real based on some of the documentation. But then you get a kit like this, and I'm not sure if that means it's real or not. But this part does look real. And this I bought off of AliExpress. And this is the same format and font of the sticker, same size, rounded corners, which I'm sure that's just like a random or like a normal sticker that doesn't mean anything. But this is a very large sheet. Yeah, this is 160 millimeters by 400 millimeters, 0.2 thickness, apparently, of Honeywell PTM 7950. And I bought it for 100 Canadian dollars. So, I don't know if it's real. Got it off AliExpress, but you know, I've had good luck buying stuff from AliExpress. So, I'm definitely gonna try that out. And this, if I'm not mistaken, which you guys have mentioned before, this is layered. This will be the TCPM 7200. I think I got it in 7208. I got it in 0.25, or sorry, yeah, 0.25 of a millimeter thickness. So I've got a large sheet of that for testing as well. And they just shipped it with really nice elastics and this little cardboard. You know, it worked. It did protect it enough that it didn't get damaged. So lots of phase change materials to test. We've also got the syringe style of Honeywell PTM 7958, and that is supposed to be rumored to be at least a couple degrees cooler than 7950. So yeah, hopefully it's good. Let's see, Elmer has full width PCI slot power measure. I saw that. I believe that's the one that plugs in and does like was it like a 90-degree angle? I might go that route too, especially if I might do that later, especially if I'm going to do benchmark tests where like high heat and high watts and well and high performance is important. I don't know if I'm a benchmarking channel. I don't really. There's lots of benchmarkers out there, but it might come in handy to test that at some point. So, um, yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Bring back just like, hey, before you bail, consider setting up a Patreon, could you some money, and keep the test coming. Would be happy. So, I appreciate that. I've so far well, previously I've been hesitant of setting something up, and I am gonna set something up, and I do have something I've kind of set up. I need to test it out first and make sure it's working properly, and then once I've done that, I'll share that with you guys, but it'll be only for the people that want to. Um, I'm not expecting people to tip me or donate to the channel or anything, especially if it's like grocery money. Like, no one should be spending their hard-earned cash when they need it if they've got better stuff to buy, which most of us do, you know. But yeah, 400 by 160 is the only size sold by Honeywell. I think it's probably legit too. I definitely need to test it and see, because if it holds up, um, that's a great price. And yeah, nice. I'll look out for it. Yeah. So listen, thanks guys for kind of checking out my first stream. I don't even know how long we've been here, but I'll figure that out pretty soon, I think. I appreciate you guys stopping by and helping me test out the fairly crude setup that I currently have. But look for more tests and videos in the future, and I will catch you guys on the next one.